Hey everyone, thanks for taking a couple minutes out of your day to spend with us on the TouchPoint Minute. For those that don't know me, I'm Morgan. I serve as Vice President here at TouchPoint. Alongside me is Erik. For those that haven't had the opportunity to meet Erik yet, he's the National Sales Manager here at TouchPoint and also serves as our Solutions Specialist for TouchPoint Giving.
Glad to be here. Thanks, Morgan.
Absolutely. Erik, thanks for joining today. We're going to be talking about some things around giving and generosity. This is always my favorite topic because it's how we fund the church and the mission of what we all do here. So today, I'm going to ask Erik about some myths about giving that we hear from our partner churches. So Erik, let's jump in here on the first one.
Great.
Okay, myth number one. My giving page requires my online provider's name to be listed.
That's a good one. For those of you that have been using various online giving providers through the years, you've probably noticed that there's sometimes a balance, right, between what you're able to customize with your own branding and then what's just kind of out of the box based off of the provider. But I think most would say there has to be something on there that indicates who your actual online giving provider is. And that is actually a myth. And I'm going to show you just an example here with TouchPoint Giving's pages, exactly what that can look like. And this is Second Presbyterian Church. And on their giving page, when I go ahead and click it here, you'll take a look around and notice a few things. First, they have a nice image here in the background, even kind of a transparent look here with that kind of center box of the giving page. But typically, for those of you who are familiar, you know that when you typically scroll down to the bottom, you're going to probably see something here about the online giving provider. Not the case here for Second Presbyterian. And even if you go and look in the actual URL, this is an extension of their actual website. TouchPoint has the ability for you to hook in to the DNS settings of your website and make your giving page an extension. So as you can see here, that is the first myth, showing that you do not have to have your giving provider in your giving pages. You can have it fully branded for your ministry.
Awesome. And 2PC's giving page is always one of my favorites. We've highlighted them before, but they just do an awesome job all around with how they've set up their giving pages. So anybody that wants to see a great one, check them out. Okay, Erik, myth number two.
All right.
And this has been kind of a hot topic lately. We've been hearing this more and more, and that is around NFC tags.
Okay.
And people have been using these NFC tags for generosity and other things the last year or so. So myth number two is if I want to use NFC tags, I have to have a provider that has a quote native solution.
Yeah, another great one. It's been interesting. I would say you're right on. In the last few years, we've really started to see an uptick in interest for the capability to use NFC functionality. And a lot of the times, as you're looking for solutions that support it, you may think, hey, I have to find an online giving provider who has a built-in NFC solution. And at the end of the day, while those are nice and there's some great tools available for those that do have the native solution, you don't actually have to go that route. In fact, if you just do a little bit of research, hop on Google, hop on Amazon, and even just do like a search for NFC tags, what you're going to find is you can buy a bunch of tags online. The tags could be stickers, they could be discs, they could be little cards that stand on tables. There's a lot of different devices that you can actually use. You've probably seen it at some churches where they stick that sticker on the back of a chair and I can scan it, right? So you can actually buy the hardware and then you can go through and find an app. There's several different NFC apps that are available on both the iOS and Android stores that you can go download. And then you buy a little device that basically links the two. And so all of these together, buying the hardware, the sticker that you may want, buying the device that you can kind of scan those, and then buying an app, depending on what route you want to go, can link it all together. So you may decide, I want to take the URL of my giving page and I want that to show up right there on the disc or on call it the sticker behind the chair, and you can actually build it yourself. And the benefit of that is you can kind of make it unique. You can use the type of devices that you want, and you're not actually boxed in to what the native solution may be for certain providers.
And also, I believe it's quite a bit cheaper doing it that way. A little bit more work, but it is cheaper.
Yeah, a lot of cost savings that can be had for sure.
Awesome. So next one, and this is probably one of the ones we hear the most, is changing giving providers is burdensome on donors.
Yeah, that is a I think natural fear or concern that comes up with having to change your giving platform. We all know the thought of having to interrupt donors can definitely bring a little bit of anxiety. What's going to happen? Are they going to reset up their gift? Are we going to force them to have to reset up a new gift? What is that process going to look like? And so the reality is there's options. In fact, depending on the provider that you are currently with, there are sometimes options where you can actually move the recurring donation from one platform to the other without having to interrupt your donors at all. Sometimes referred to as like a data vault transfer. And so that is an option. Let's say, however, though, that your current provider does not support that, and you are going to actually have to go the manual route where you do have to interrupt the donors. The good news is a lot of good platforms will provide you with instructions, with a plan to walk you through the entire process where, yes, your donor may have to set up their gift again, but a lot of times they can have all the information already kind of set and ready to go, the amount that they were giving, the frequency, the fund that it was going to, and all they have to do is re-enter their data. And when you walk through that process and you communicate it really effectively from the front, more times than not, the statistics show that you're actually going to see a net increase in overall giving when going through the process. So the fear is real. We understand that, but being able to walk down one of those two paths with appropriate support from the TouchPoint team can be quite helpful.
Awesome. And I love myth number 4 because it's kind of the most simple one, but at the same time, I think it has a huge ministry impact. And that is, I have to spend hours each month calling donors that have expired credit cards.
Yes, I'm sure for those finance managers that are listening in, or those that have, created a report to look at this reality, we've all seen that expired donations are just things we deal with, right? It's going to happen every month. We have donors who have had cards and they kind of forget about it. They forget that it's expired. And those are missed donations. In fact, I'm guessing for most of you, you've probably run the numbers at some point to get an understanding of what are we missing out on each month when those donations are missed. And because of the fact that it's generally kind of a high number, you take the time and energy to call those donors, let them know, and basically hope that they're going to set it up within a short period of time. But the nice thing with TouchPoint Giving is there is a tool now, basically that will allow the cards that are expiring to be auto updated. So instead of having to call your donors when a card expires, it's actually connected to the issuing card company to auto update it. And this isn't just with expiration. This is if a fraud situation occurs and they have to shut down the card and issue a new one, or a lost card. All of these situations will allow for that to be auto updated without the donor having to reset anything. And so again, those of you who are doing the math, seeing what you're missing each month, this is no longer an issue and you're not having to call your donors anymore like you have previously. All right. Now that we're through 4, I'm going to switch it up here. I'm going to actually ask you a question, Morgan. As the expert in what I consider generosity and looking at how you can encourage generosity in the church, I know your story, Morgan, is pretty incredible for you and your wife and your family in your kind of path through understanding generosity as part of your faith. And so one of the things that I think is kind of interesting and that we maybe even sometimes get scared of is making asks too often. And so the myth is that donors are burnt out from giving asks. Would love to hear your thoughts on is that true?
So this is always my favorite topic. This through generosity is kind of how my wife and I, and therefore my kids and everything kind of came back to faith and came back to the church was through generosity. And I love this topic because I believe it's one that many churches still wrestle with. I believe the truth is that people aren't tired of giving. They're not tired of being asked. They are tired of giving to something instead of through something. And what I mean by that is when we don't tell the story of what God is doing through our ministries, generosity feels transactional instead of transformational. People want to be part of a mission, not just a maintenance plan. If we can paint a compelling picture of impact, lives changed, communities reached, generosity becomes more of a joy and instead of a burden. I've seen so many amazing stories of impact done so well, from rents being covered to kids' backpacks for school lunches being paid off, furnaces being replaced, wheelchair ramps being installed. And all of our churches have these stories. A lot of times we just don't tell them well. Yeah. And I think often it's because we overthink how we're going to tell that story. We want to do some big production recording, and that's great. Those go over really well too. But some of the best ones I've seen are just the pastor getting up, reading a thank you card from the recipient of that donation. Of course, we leave names off, so we're not stepping on any toes there. But just reading that heartfelt thank you just does wonders, and people get to see the impact and hear the impact from the people that money is helping out. So I would just say this: we need to continue to tell our story of where generosity is going so that people can see where they fit into God's story. Yeah. And I think that makes all the difference.
Yeah, that's great. Love the thought of giving through something rather than to something. I think that speaks volumes. Well, I hope this was helpful for everybody to hear about some 5 myths of giving, especially as we are thinking about the upcoming holiday season and end of year gifts. Thank you all for your time. Hope everybody has a wonderful week.
Take care.